What name would you like to go by? Poison Ivy, she said. How long ago was your ordeal? 2016. They met in 2009 at CSU, Central State University, in Ohio. What steps did you take to keep yourself safe? She moved her and her kids out when her abusive husband was at work. Do you know where your stalker is now? Yes, he lives at the same place. Do you feel safe? No. Do you think he will be back? Yes, she replied. What do you hope others will gain from your story? Get out while you can and don't take revenge. My husband turned stalker, cheated with the next door neighbor. Wow. He took sick days off while I was at work when I went shopping, when I worked nights. Basically, when I was not home, she said. The neighbor was a stay-at-home wife. My husband worked as a mechanic. I am a nurse, and after many years of him sleeping with the neighbor, I started seeing someone who was very close to him. I'm going to tell you how I found out he was sleeping with the neighbor. One day, I was working third shift, 12 hours. I became sick. I came home early, and I found him and the neighbor having sex in my bed. I didn't say anything. I just left out the room and cried because I knew, oh, that something was going on before. I had intuition, but I never acted on it. And when I came home early that night sick, I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think about what I will find, who I will find in my bed with my husband at 1 o'clock in the morning. So, like I said before, I went downstairs and cried because prior, I would come home from shopping and he would be coming out of her house. And his excuse was he was looking for her husband. They were acquaintances because we lived next door to each other. A few times, I would come home from the grocery store or be getting my groceries out of the trunk, and I would see her leaving my house. And I would ask her what was up with that. Well, I would ask her why she was leaving my house. She said she was looking for her husband. That's odd because her and her husband drive separate cars, and each occasion when I saw my husband coming from her house or her coming from my house, her husband's car was gone. On one occasion, she told me that her husband's car was in his shop and she was taking him back and forth to work. I became very, very suspicious after that. And one occasion, my kids stayed home sick from school while I had to work first shift. And when I came home, he asked me why me or my daddy, his dad, was fighting. I said, fighting? Yeah. He was beating you and you were saying, ow, ow, ow. Keep doing that. I said, no, you must have been dreaming. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I wasn't home. He didn't hear me. He must have heard somewhere else. So after I found out, after I walked in on them having sex in my house, I cried for days because one, I was mad at myself because I knew I had suspicions and I didn't act on them. And for two, I was hurt because he was just lying to me flat out. And with the next door neighbor, who is a stay-at-home mom or wife, while I'm working my ass off as being a nurse, caring for sick people. Now, if you're going to cheat, cheat up. Cheat with somebody you know who you can be with. Don't cheat just to have your main woman leave and you stay single because she's married or she's a bum. You wouldn't want to be seen out in public. So I went to a party, me and my girls, and I saw his frat brother. We all went to CSU and we all partied and hung out. He asked how we were doing in our marriage, and I told him everything. His frat brother always had hots for me. He always flirted with me on the down low. He always hugged me tight and brushed my behind accidentally. So I was like, this is my chance. So we talked for a while, met up a few times, and then I decided, hey, this will make me feel better and this will get back at him. So we had an affair for 3 months until my husband found out. When he found out I was sleeping with his frat brother, he broke my nose and knocked a few of my teeth out. Now, he did this while our kids were at school, and I didn't see my kids because I was on this 12-hour shift. So my nose pretty much healed when I was able to really spend time with my kids. And I just told them I had a bad tooth and the dentist pulled it out. So after a few beatings over several months, I made plans to leave him. While he was at work doing his mechanical duties, I packed up my kids and we left. Didn't tell him where we were living. But one day, he showed up at my job in the parking lot and beat me again as I was leaving work. I filed a police report and a restraining order on him. He was picked up and jailed, but he never left me alone. The jails were overcrowded, so he got out early. He was on probation, but he got out early. That piece of paper didn't matter to him. He still stalked me. A couple of times when I came out from work, all my tires were flat. And you can see the knife punchers in all my tires. I got rides from coworkers back home. I spent a lot of extra money getting those tires replaced. One day, I had to work the night shift, 12 hours. Went in at 12 a.m. When I arrived, he was sitting in the parking lot. I was the only one out there at the time, so I drove away. Drove to the police station, and he drove right past me. I thought I'd never police report on him. This time, they gave me an excuse. Well, it's hearsay. We need to have proof of that he was really stalking you. But you have proof from my prior injuries and my prior TPO. Well, our department, it was really backed up, and we don't have enough officers to keep going out to your house whenever you say your ex is stalking you. So I went back to work with the police escort, and they walked me into my job. When I came out, I didn't see anybody in the parking lot beside my coworkers' cars. I got in my car. Unfortunately, I parked in a way back by the bushes. I don't know why, but I did that day. I came out and he shot me just as I was getting into the car. I don't remember how I got to the hospital, how I got back up into the hospital because I was fortunate because I worked at the hospital. But when I woke, someone told me that he was arrested and sent away for 25 years for attempted murder. So the moral of the story is, if your husband or boyfriend cheats on you, leave. Don't get revenge. Just leave. He was fine when I wasn't messing around. He was fine when I was forgiving him. He was fine until he found out I was sleeping with his frat brother. That sent him over the edge. He didn't do anything to his frat brother, but I was his target. I was his target. Never mind the hurt he caused me by cheating on me with our next door neighbor. But not when I cheated on him, he couldn't take it. Do not seek revenge and cheat on your husbands or boyfriends because they cannot take it like we have taken it. And it would end up really bad for you. So just let it go and leave.
myself. The team does not trust me, and I know they don't trust me. I just don't think he's reliable. He's in like all over the place right now. I feel like he's going through like a weird midlife crisis. I'm gonna have. There's no question. There's a real sense of frustration here.
Yeah.
Quickly, there's no question. There's a real sense of frustration here at the White House today. All right, Mary Bruce, thank you. Now to that near catastrophe at New York's JFK Airport, one of the busiest